Good morning, children. So now let us proceed to our story. So please listen very carefully so that you will learn something from the story. So in today's story, we will see why all the children of Israel, instead of entering into the good land right away, they first wandered in the wilderness for 40 years. So God promised to bring the children of Israel into the good land. And in the good land, He wanted them to build a house, a special house where our God could dwell. So God did marvelous things to bring them out of Egypt and across the Red Sea. It was God's intention to bring the children of Israel into the good land. So for 2 years after the children of Israel came out of Egypt, they lived in the wilderness under God's care and provision. And finally, the children of Israel came to the border of the good land. So Jehovah told Moses to send one man from each tribe to search the land of Canaan. So Moses sent 12 men. All were heads of Israel, one from each tribe. So one was Caleb in the tribe of Judah, and one was Joshua in the tribe of Ephraim. So that these 12 men or these 12 spies went out to see what the land was like and what the people were like, whether they were strong or weak, whether there were a lot of them or a few. So they searched the land for 40 days. So after searching the land for 40 days, they returned to their camp. So as they were returning to their camp, they brought a sample of the rich fruit in the land. And it took 2 men to carry one bunch of grapes to carry with them. No, it took 2 men to carry with them one bunch of grapes on a pole and a pole back to the camp. So it was really indeed a rich land flowing with milk and honey. But the 10 spies out of the 12 spies, the 10 spies gave an evil report and discouraged the heart of the children of Israel. They told them that the land flowed with milk and honey. However, the people of the land were strong. The cities were fortified with very high walls and were very large. And
They also said that there were many enemies dwelling in the land. So their report was an evil report because it, it showed that they did not believe in God's promise to give them the land. Rather, they feared that they would be killed by the inhabitants of the land. But out of the 12 spies,
one spy named Caleb said, "Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it." But the other 10 spies continued with their evil report and said that we are not able to go up against the people because they are stronger than we. So they describe the inhabitants' great size and compare themselves as grasshoppers in their sight. So they discouraged the people to such an extent that all the congregations lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept. Then all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron, and they said that they would rather have died in the land of Egypt. So they even decided to appoint a captain and return to Egypt. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the congregation. But out of the 12 spies, 2 of them, named Joshua and Caleb, tore their clothes and spoke to the whole assembly of the children of Israel, saying that the land through which we passed to spy out is an exceedingly good land. So if Jehovah is pleased with us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey. So only do not rebel against Jehovah, nor should you fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their protection has been removed from them, and Jehovah is with us. Do not fear them. But because the people believed the evil report of the 10 spies, They were about to stone Joshua and Caleb to death. So Jehovah saved their lives. But Jehovah would not tolerate the people's evil-hearted heart of unbelief and provocation. So he told Moses that he would strike the children of Israel with pestilence and disposes them. And he would make Moses into a nation greater and mightier than they. But Moses reminded Jehovah how he brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. If he put them to death, then the nation might say that Jehovah was not able to bring the people into the land which he swore to give them, and he has therefore slaughtered them in the wilderness. So Moses prayed to Jehovah to pardon the iniquity of the people according to the greatness of his loving kindness, just as he had forgiven them until now. So Jehovah forgave them. But none of them would enter into the good land. They would wander in the wilderness for 40 years until they died. Only the children under 20 years of age could enter in, along with Joshua and Caleb. And the 10 spies who had brought the evil report about the land, they died by the plague before Jehovah. So 40 long years of testing passed. All those over 20 years of age died in the wilderness and never entering into the promised land. So after Moses, he also died. Then the Lord called Joshua and told him to rise up and lead all the children of Israel over the Jordan River into the land that the Lord would give them as their inheritance. So through Joshua's leadership, God's people finally reached the goal he had promised or he had intended for them over 40 years earlier, so when they were delivered from the slavery of Egypt. So Joshua took the whole land according to all that Jehovah had spoken to Moses, and Joshua gave it as an inheritance to Israel according to their divisions by their tribes. And the land had rest from war. So that's all. That's all for today, children. And thank you for listening to our story. Bye-bye.